All right, brace yourselves for this absolute nightmare scenario, because what I am about to tell you will make you question everything you thought you knew about British politics. Keir Starmer, our beloved Prime Minister, is politically finished, done, toast, kaput. The writing is on the wall in letters so large you could read them from space. His approval ratings are in free fall, his own party is turning on him, the public has lost faith, and even his most loyal supporters are quietly updating their CVs and pretending they never really backed him in the first place. But here is the truly terrifying part. As bad as Starmer is, and trust me, he is spectacularly bad, what comes next, if he actually resigns, might be even worse. We are talking about a political succession crisis that could make the chaos of previous leadership contests look like a Vickers Tea Party. Buckle up, because this is gonna get wild. If political drama is your thing and you want front row seats to the absolute circus that is British politics right now, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because what is coming next is going to be absolutely unmissable, and you do not want to hear about it secondhand from your mate down the pub. So, let us start with the obvious. Why exactly is Keir Starmer finished? Well, where do we even begin? The man has managed the impressive feat of uniting the entire country, just not in support of him, but rather in various shades of disappointment, frustration, and outright hostility. His economic policies have been a disaster, promising growth while delivering stagnation. His handling of the NHS has been catastrophic, with waiting times getting longer and services deteriorating faster than a sandcastle at high tide. His immigration policy is essentially non-existent, trying to please everyone and ending up satisfying precisely nobody. His foreign policy has made Britain look weak and indecisive on the international stage, and his personal approval ratings, they are lower than a snake's belly in a wagon rut, and still falling. But the real problem for Starmer is not just that his policies are failing, it's that nobody believes he has the political skill or personal qualities to turn things around. He comes across as wooden, scripted, completely lacking in the kind of charisma or vision that inspires people to follow a leader through difficult times. When he speaks, people don't lean in to listen, they lean back and check their phones. When he makes promises, people don't believe him because they've heard it all before and seen precisely nothing delivered. He's the political equivalent of a participation trophy. Technically, he's there, but nobody is particularly impressed or inspired by his presence. The knives are out within the Labour Party itself, and not just the usual suspects from the left who never liked him anyway. We are talking about centrist MPs, former allies, people who backed him for leader and are now quietly admitting in private that they made a catastrophic mistake. The briefings against him to the press have become so frequent and so savage that you wonder if anyone in his inner circle actually supports him anymore, or if they're all just waiting for the right moment to push him off the political cliff. It's like watching a murder mystery where everyone is a suspect because everyone has a motive. Now, here's where things get really interesting, and by interesting, I mean absolutely terrifying. Let us game out what happens if Starmer actually resigns or gets pushed out. The Labour Party would need to elect a new leader, and the field of potential candidates is, to put it charitably, uninspiring. We're not talking about political titans here. We're talking about a collection of individuals who make Starmer look charismatic by comparison, which is truly saying something. First, you've got the far-left faction, still dreaming of a return to the Corbyn years, because apparently they have selective amnesia about how spectacularly that ended. They would push for someone who wants to renationalize everything that's not nailed down, tax the rich until they flee to Monaco, and turn Britain into some sort of socialist paradise that has never actually worked anywhere in human history, but will definitely work this time, honest. The problem is, the country has already rejected this approach decisively, and putting forward another far-left candidate would essentially be Labour writing their own political obituary and then wondering why nobody is voting for them. Then you've got the centrist candidates, the technocrats, who think what Britain really needs is more management consultants in charge. These are the people who speak in PowerPoint presentations, who think every problem can be solved with a task force and a white paper, who have never had an original thought in their lives, but are very good at repeating whatever the latest focus group told them to say. They would make Starmer look exciting by comparison, which is an achievement of sorts. The public doesn't want more of the same. They want actual leadership and vision, and these candidates offer neither. There's also the possibility of someone from the more populist wing of the party trying to seize the moment, someone who promises to be tough on immigration, tough on crime, tough on Europe, basically trying to out-Tory the Tories while still claiming to be Labour. The problem with this approach is that voters who want right-wing policies already have a party offering them. They don't need Labour to become conservative light. It's like opening a restaurant next to McDonald's and offering slightly worse burgers at slightly higher prices while wondering why nobody is eating there. But wait, it gets worse, because we haven't even talked about the timing of all this. If Starmer resigns or gets pushed out now, Labour would be entering a leadership contest while trying to govern the country, while dealing with multiple crises, while facing a resurgent conservative opposition that would absolutely love nothing more than to watch Labour tear itself apart in public. The last thing Britain needs right now is a governing party that is more interested in internal warfare than actually running the country. But that's exactly what we would get. It would be like changing the pilot mid-flight when the plane is already in turbulence and running low on fuel. Technically possible, but not what you would call ideal circumstances. And here's another delightful complication. The Labour membership, the people who actually vote in leadership elections, are not representative of the country as a whole. They're more left-wing, more metropolitan, more focused on ideological purity than on electability. They elected Corbyn twice, despite all evidence suggesting this was electoral suicide. They might very well elect someone who makes them feel good about themselves, rather than someone who can actually win elections and govern competently. And then we'd be back to square one, except with even less time to sort things out before the next general election. The Conservative Party is watching all of this with barely concealed glee, obviously. They've been hemorrhaging support themselves, dealing with their own internal divisions and policy failures. But Labour's implosion is giving them a lifeline they absolutely do not deserve. If Labour descends into a leadership crisis right now, the Conservatives will position themselves as the party of stability and competence, which is hilarious given their recent track record, but might actually work because the alternative looks even worse. It's like being offered a choice between food poisoning and cholera, and choosing food poisoning because at least it's over quicker. The media landscape around all of this is absolutely fascinating as well. You've got newspapers that backed Labour now desperately trying to figure out who they should support in a potential leadership contest, political commentators offering wildly different analyses of who would be best positioned to succeed Starmer, and social media turning the whole thing into a spectator sport with betting odds and everything. The British public loves nothing more than political drama, and this would be political drama of the highest order. Except instead of being entertainment, this is our actual government we're talking about, which makes it considerably less fun when you remember that real policies and real people's lives are affected by all this chaos. Let's talk about some specific names that keep getting mentioned as potential successors, because the horror show needs faces. There's talk of Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, who has her supporters but also comes with significant baggage and a tendency to say things that sound great to the base but alienate swing voters faster than you can say electoral liability. There's Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, who is competent in a technocratic sort of way, but has the charisma of a tax return and would struggle to inspire a wet paper bag, much less a nation. There's Wes Streeting, who has ambition written all over him, but is still relatively inexperienced and might be too divisive within the party to unite it. And then you've got the dark horse candidates, the people nobody is really talking about seriously yet, but who might throw their hat in the ring anyway, because why not? Everything else is chaos, so might as well add to it. These are the backbenchers who think they could do better, the former ministers who have been quietly positioning themselves for years, the regional mayors who fancy a shot at the big time. None of them are particularly compelling, but in a field this weak, anyone might look like a viable option if you squint hard enough and had a few drinks. The policy implications of all this chaos are staggering. While Labor is busy fighting over who gets to lead the party, actual governing has to continue. Bills need to be passed, budgets need to be set, international agreements need to be negotiated, crises need to be managed. But all of that takes a back seat when the party is in full civil war mode. We've seen this before with the Conservatives during their various leadership contests, and it was a disaster then. Having Labor go through the same thing while actually in government would be exponentially worse. It would be like changing the pilot mid-flight when the plane is already in turbulence and running low on fuel. Technically possible, but not what you would call ideal circumstances. And here's another delightful complication, the constitutional dimension to consider. If Starmer resigns as Prime Minister, convention suggests he would stay on in a caretaker capacity until a new Labor leader is elected,